Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coronavirus Update 27. I'm Ryan Ferran, the Chief Communications Officer for the Arcadia Unified School District. Great to be joined by our Superintendent, Dr. Vannasdall, as well. Dr. Vannasdall, great to see you.
It's always good to be with you, Ryan. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you keeping up with all of these updates. Can't believe we're on number 27, but here we are. So I'm glad to be able to answer some questions you have.
Absolutely. 27 down, probably a lot more to go. So I appreciate the video updates and the time you take to answer some of these questions. And as you mentioned, we do a lot of the written updates, but the video gives you a little bit more time to go into some context into the decision-making process and explain to people a little bit more about what we're going through. So I really appreciate that. And I know the parents and staff do as well. So I guess we'll start kind of off of update 26 last week, which was we announced distance learning to open up the school year. And we were planning for several different contingencies. Our staff has been working so hard, and we'll still probably likely use some of the hybrid and stuff as throughout the year as that progresses. But just a little bit more insights into the decision of us opening up the school year distance learning.
Yeah, Ryan, I want to start with what our ultimate goal is. And I can share that our board members, all five of them, our administration and our staff, we absolutely believe that the best teaching and learning is on our campuses where teachers are with students and we can provide those wraparound services as students need. There will never be anything that will take that place like that. Having said that, since March 13th, when we went into closure of our facilities, we've told everyone that our decisions will be based on the safety and the health of our students and staff. And that comes from the guidance and the orders of the LA Health Department, as well as the state, as we're seeing now. So as you mentioned, we have been working all summer, and I can't say enough thank yous to the dedicated staff that have been working tirelessly all summer. And I want to remind people, on a good year, when everything's in place and we're just kind of building on what we did the prior year, it's difficult to get ready with all the personnel and the scheduling and new students, et cetera, cleaning of campuses. It's hard on a good year. So creating multiple paths for opening and being ready to do any of those on a moment's notice has been a Herculean task. So I just appreciate all the staff. So we originally were hoping for a June 13th date, and that's what we were told by the health department, that specifically we're going to issue guidelines for reopening schools. Because I know people hear different guidelines for different industries and from shops, malls, hairdressers, et cetera. But for schools reopening, June 13th. Unfortunately, those guidelines were delayed until July 13th. We just received them on that Friday. And unfortunately, I mean, it was a Monday. And unfortunately, that didn't give us very much time to really look over the guidelines and prepare for school. I've always said that our parents and our teachers deserve to have at least 20, 30 days out to just properly plan on what your schedule is going to look like for the fall, for your students. I mean, for teachers to plan if they're going to be presenting at school or at home, and for parents to find childcare if needed, if that's going to be the case. So it was really important that we make a decision as soon as possible. So when that guidance came out, we quickly went through. It was like a 13 to 15 page document. So reading through those guidelines took a lot of time. We decided at that point that we could not meet those strict guidelines in a physical way of having students back at school and remain safe in that environment. And I want to be sure to say that that's not because of the variables that we control. From coming up with cleaning procedures, transportation, we were even interviewing new bus drivers as we were making this decision in case we needed more buses. So all of our staff were working tirelessly to make sure that we were able to meet those guidelines. But the guidelines that are out of our control, we just could not meet at this time. So we made that decision. Now, within about 24 hours after that, of that communication going out, the governor made an order for the entire state that if you live in a county or if your school district is in a county that's being monitored, and that's based on COVID numbers and data, that you cannot start in person. And until your county is out of that monitoring stage for 14 days, you are not allowed to be in school physically. So that's kind of the timeline of how that happened. Of course, that triggered our decision to go with, for sure, 100%, we are starting in that virtual environment. And now we have the time, as we have been working on it, but to commit all of our resources, all of our time to ensuring that we have a robust virtual environment program set for our students when we open school.
And you talked about the need for planning for not only our staff, who's done a remarkable job, but parents. They need to plan too, and need to know when they go back to work, what their kids, where they're going to be and what they're going to do. And you touched on it too in their daycare. That's one of the things. Could you imagine if we announced this a week before school and we said we're going distance learning and parents had to do, daycare? Now they have a little bit of time. What is what are you telling parents about daycare, what they should be doing for their daycare needs?
It's a great question, Ryan, and it's probably the number one question I get. And I want to share with everyone that I am with you on that. My staff have been asking for weeks, if we could just have a decision, we just need to know which direction to go. I can live with either one. And I was kind of like that, it's like, okay, now we have a decision. We know we're going virtual. And then there's this moment where my wife and I are sitting there going, okay, so what are we supposed to do with our twins? What are we going to do with our children while we're both working? So it's a real question, and there's a lot of unanswered directions here for parents. I want people to know how much we empathize with them and we understand the predicament this puts parents in. At the same time, we really need people to understand that by law, we are not allowed to open school. So this is not a situation that we're choosing to put you in as a parent, and we don't have the resources to provide childcare, and we're not structured to do that. So this is something that parents are going to have to figure out. And again, I'm one of those. We're kind of trying to figure out what are all of our options. I am really pleased to share this, though. We're very fortunate that within that law, the same law that does not allow us to go back physically to open school, since the beginning of these closures, the state has continued to encourage childcare facilities to open. And primarily that's because they really need that for those essential workers that have to go to work to have a place. But because of that, childcare has been open for the facilities that have chosen to do so. So we're very fortunate that we have a partnership with a business called Right at School. And they've been providing our before and after school for the last couple of years at our campuses. So by law, even though we're not physically allowed to be back, they are allowed to operate because they are a licensed daycare facility, childcare facility. And so they have agreed to scale up as much as we need as our parents and our teachers, because we have teachers that need that as well. It's for fee. Obviously, this is a third-party business. This is not AUSD, but they're willing to do it. It's reasonably priced, and it's going to be on our facility. So with this communication, there's going to be a link. And if this is an interest of yours, I strongly encourage you as a parent to go on, take the survey, because not only are they interested in how many people would like this, but what locations, at what sites, which of our schools would people like that? Because they're willing to scale up as much as they need, but obviously, that requires a lot of work on their part, hiring employees, et cetera. So I'm just pleased that we at least have an option for parents that are in that desperate need for that. So.
Appreciate the clarification on that. I think that helps a lot of parents as they plan the opening of school as well, which is.
And Ryan, I meant to add something, because I keep getting this question. The Right at School teachers that they hire to be with the students, they understand and will be able to help those students continue with their virtual learning from their teachers in that virtual setting. So it won't be a program all day and then their kid's going to have to come home and do all this work. They're going to help them maintain that the work as they're online with their teachers during the day.
Sounds good, because that's the big concern. They may be at a daycare, but they still need to be virtually in class as well. So good point as well. And we know classes are starting very soon, August 13th for the high school, then our elementary middle schools that next day on Friday, August 14th. And last year, our teachers and staff did just such a remarkable job, and our students and parents too, with our emergency guided distance learning plan. This year we're doing distance learning again, but it will be different. So Dr. Vannasdall, how will it be different in the fall?
That's a great question. Another one of those that I often get. For starters, I want to remind everyone that when we went into Safer at Home order back in March, first of all, that was an order that was put out through the county that everyone was required to be at home. And along with that was a hold harmless clause instituted by the state, both for our staff and for our students. And what that meant was everyone was dealing with this as something new, a pandemic, a global crisis, and everyone was dealing with their own personal issues. You had, teachers that had family members that they had to take care of, their own children. So it really was do your best within this new order of emergency shutdown. We had students that couldn't be online and couldn't do certain assignments. They weren't, given bad grades because they weren't able to do that. There was a lot of empathy and a lot of understanding. But because of that, the experience for students and teachers looked very different depending on their situation. We are no longer in that emergency shutdown. This is a whole different thing. We've had a couple of months of a lot of learning from that earlier shutdown. We are now going to be opening school with a very structured schedule for every student with live teaching. There will be attendance, there will be grades, assignments, assessments. As best as we can represent that regular school day at school, parents and students are going to see that at home. Having said that, one of the things I like to at least acknowledge so people understand what that means is that a regular instructional day for a student isn't 8 hours or 7 hours. There's a lot of, there's lunch, there's passing time, there's recess for the smaller kids. There's times where kids are just playing kindergarten TK in small groups. So when we look at an instructional day, we don't want kids sitting on a computer staring at a camera for 6-7 hours. I think we all share that interest as parents and educators. So we're looking at a 5-hour instructional day for students, which means within that 5 hours, they'll have the live teaching back and forth, teacher student, they'll have small group instruction. They may be students working together or independent work going on during that time. So we're excited. A lot of work has gone into this. Can't say enough about our dedicated teachers working tirelessly to develop what this could look like to have a robust system for our students. So it's going to look very different, and I'm very excited to continue to offer an excellent education program that our students and parents expect.
A new distance learning module and style, and also a new Board of Education heading into the new school year with 2 new board members just recently started with us.
Yeah, very excited to congratulate Raymond Chung and Shirley Yee, 2 of our new board members just came on. Some people would say, wow, that's a really tough time to be coming on as a new board member in the middle of a pandemic. But I like to remind everyone that, with crisis comes just enormous opportunity. And what we're seeing right now is everyone stepping up, bringing their very best to work every day, our students, our teachers, administrators. And I believe what we're going to accomplish together coming up this fall is going to be extraordinary. And I think we're building a tool belt that we are going to be able to continue to offer and improve on even when we're back physically. Because a lot of this online virtual setting is something that we can expand out to offer to a lot of students in many different situations. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, congratulations and welcome to them. It's going to be exciting. And as you said, it is a very difficult time in education right now. And we have some of the best in Arcadia Unified, including yourself. I know this is a lot of pressure and a lot of questions and so much, but we appreciate your positivity. You stay positive. We do too. And thanks so much for taking the time to once again kind of go through the update and talk about the fall. And we know there's more questions that will come throughout the summer, meals and all that, and we'll continue with the updates as frequent as we can as more information becomes available, and everything is of course posted on our website, AUSD.net. Dr. Vannasdall, great to see you. Thank you so much as always.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.